way I've heard your story.
Yeah. It started, I will skip some steps, but I first started freelancing myself. I was a freelance recruiter, and then I just started meetups in the evening. I posted on meetups, it was tips, tricks and fuck-ups for freelancers. And we're just talking, but then it ended up me giving them advice, and they were like, hey, how do you get this hourly rate, And I was like, maybe there's something. And then I first...
Face what you say.
Jesus, so many stories. One fell asleep, like this. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? He woke up like this, and then he had the audacity to say, he went like,
in the maybe number of...
Oh fuck, okay, yeah.
Just
so
a coincidence.
there. I paid like 300 euros a month. I had
Erik went from selling drawings in an auction to his parents in his own bathroom, bedroom to creating over 43 million for your clients as well. Helped over 120 freelancers plus.
Yeah.
And has over 15 years of experience right now in the game.
Yeah.
The game called business, however you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Today we dive into his story, pricing models, and ways to work remotely and build your company in a remote way, and many more things as well, I think. So
yeah, looking forward to it.
How did it all start for you?
The nomadic lifestyle or business?
Your company, like now you have Next Level Freelancer.
Yeah.
That was not from one day till the other. At least I think.
No. It has been a weird way. I started in recruitment. I worked for an agency. From there, I set up a contracting department or a data sharing department, we call it in Holland. And then I started freelancing. From the freelancing, I started my own recruitment agency, like No Cure No Pay. And from there, I kind of pivoted towards what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And do you wanna know how exactly I did that pivot, or something?
Well, we dive into that later.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's good for people to know, like, what are you doing right now?
Okay, with Next Level Freelancer, we basically help people to freelance the best way as possible. So we help people to start freelancing first of all, but we started it like this, only to help people make the transition from permanent employment to freelancing. But now we actually also help a lot of freelancers because they meet our freelancers and maybe they're freelancing for 3 years. Our freelancers are just starting and they're like, how the fuck did you get this hourly rate, and stuff like this. And so then they're like, oh yeah, Next Level Freelancer. And then they hit us up. So now we have a training environment, we made some tools, we have a community. We basically make sure that people are freelancing in the best way possible, always have assignments, optimize their profit. So we teach them in negotiating, starting, everything that comes with it basically.
And I think one really important aspect of your business is that you're not like a recruitment agency or whatever. You learn freelancers how they can do it on their own.
Yeah. So big thing with us is we teach them how to get assignments with end clients. So I'm more of an anti-recruiter actually than actually a recruiter. I sometimes feel like a burglar, who used to break into houses, and then now I'm with you in your house, and I'm like, this lock, this is bullshit. I would break into it easily, and tell you how to make your house burglary proof. It's basically a little bit the same. So we teach our clients how recruitment agency work, how normally contracting companies get their clients, and how they can do it themselves. And recruitment agencies aren't all bad, but if they want to work via a recruitment agency, how do they make sure that they're not getting screwed over by the agency? Because we have stories. I spoke one freelancer, he was invoicing his. He was on an assignment via an agency. He was invoicing the agency 65 euros an hour, and the agency invoiced their client for 120. So the agency put 55 euros on top of his hourly rate.
Yeah, that's
bullshit. Yeah,
That's
too much. So we teach them how to, if they work for an agency, if they want to, how to negotiate with them and make sure that the deal is fair, that the contracts are right, how everything works basically.
And specifically for IT people.
At the moment, yeah. Well, not IT anymore. We diverted already a little bit, but the majority is IT. But we do it specifically for. I would say white-collar freelancers, so office jobs, and 6 months to a year contracts, 40 hours a week. So not the gig economy, so no content marketeers, so more like IT, finance, roles like that. Yeah.
So the office roles, the more normal office roles that you would have. And people want to start as a freelancer, then they can come to you and you say, okay, we learn you how to do it and how to not get fucked by a recruiter.
Also, yeah, or your clients or anything, yeah. And because the reason why we have this, we keep the specialization is because the advice is way different if you do like a 6-month project for 40 hours a week. Then if your freelance photographer is a good example, then you have a lot of small gigs, your whole approach in marketing, getting clients, contracts and setting up that is way different. And so also the platforms you want to focus on or how you get clients and where you put in the effort and where you get the return on the effort is a lot different. So that's why we specialize here, and that's why I think our concept is valuable, because everybody can Google like how to get clients.
Yeah.
And the advice that you then find online or in podcasts or maybe on Google or something, it's not really bullshit, but it's so, if you write a blog how to get a client, it's really generic. Or if you do like, should I get some insurance? You know?
Cool. What type of insurance? Travel insurance, normal insurance?
Yeah, but even like your company insurance, for someone in construction, it's different price. It's the price is higher. The hourly rate is way lower. So in these kinds of assignments, I know the hourly rate is like €8 an hour on average. So I know what their income is, and I know like this company insurance is like $250, or like your illness insurance is $250 an hour. Just get it, in those markets. And it's way different if you have to write your advice for like a broad spectrum. But we'll talk about niches later.
We're just going to the end of the podcast right now. Because you started as a recruiter.
Yeah.
You started at the bad side. At the dark force.
Yeah.
What? And that's what I was particularly interested in, because recruitment, it's a really broad term as well.
Yeah.
What specific skill sets do you need as a recruiter? Let's first dive into that before.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously in recruitment you have like in-house recruitment, so corporate recruitment, you work for the company itself, you have recruitment as an agency, and I think you mean recruitment agency, right? Or also in-house recruitment?
I don't know that much about recruitment, so you can tell me.
Like recruitment's basically getting people to work for you. And so then if you're like a corporate recruiter, you work for the company, so let's say Shell, and I want people to work at Shell. I work at Shell, Shell pays me to get people to work for Shell, then you're corporate, you're in-house.
You're in the people's business.
Yeah, in recruitment you're anyway in the people's business, but like if you're work for an agency, then I have an agency and my service is to, if for example Shell, they need people, I tell them, hey, you cannot find them, I'll find them for you. Yeah. So that's a really different ball game. It's very, very competitive because there are a lot of recruitment agencies, and the problem is that your product is, you don't actually have a product because I'm selling you as a candidate. So obviously my service is recruitment, but I cannot say, oh, look at this pen, or like if I sell a Tesla, it has specific features to sell.
Concrete.
Yeah, and your product are the people that you source. So it's really hard to sell, and it's highly competitive. There's a lot of money going around because you, like on average, you get like 20 to 25% from someone's annual salary if you place them for a permanent position. So that's like 15K on average, maybe higher, that you get to place one candidate. And then in contracts recruitment, so if you recruit freelancers for an agency, you get like on average €15 an hour that the person works. Mm-hmm. So yeah, times 160 hours, it's like 1 to 2K that you earn on one placement a month.
And that is exponentially, because the more people you place, the more you get, and that way.
Yeah, so the skills, to answer your question, the skills that you need is you need to be very sociable. You have to have very, very, very good social skills. You have to be intelligent because you need to know how to read resumes, and you need to build market knowledge really quickly. But then the problem is that recruitment actually is pretty repetitive. If you know the trick, then it's just repeating the trick. And so that's the difficult part about starting a recruitment agency.
What's the trick?
There's not one trick, obviously, but you have to close people really well. You have to get your client under control. You have to keep your candidate under control. You have to. Recruitment is sales on steroids, in my opinion. I love actually recruitment. I worked for the agency. We had like really experienced people from months were starting. They failed miserably. So because you have to close your product and the candidate as well. You have so many open ends, but like the trick is managing expectations, closing and qualifying really well. So you're from sales, right? Yeah. So you qualify your candidate or your prospect in the beginning. You need to know, okay, what are they looking for? Yeah. If you sell Ferrari,
and you cannot sell a Ferrari to a poor person because they cannot buy it.
For example, and if like an old man walks in or like a 50-year-old guy walks in, and you think like, oh, he's looking for his midlife crisis car, and you're gonna tell him, oh, it says 500 brake horsepower, it goes so fast, blah blah blah, but then he tells you, yeah, it's for my daughter. Yeah, then you gave the wrong pitch. So you first need to qualify, okay, what do you think is important? Then he's like, oh, it's for my daughter, and then you'll be like, okay, so look at the brake discs, it has good airbags, blah blah blah. So his daughter's it,
Then you adjust the products in a way that it fits the person.
Yeah, and that's in recruitment that's extra important. So, but once you get that, it's pretty repetitive actually, and I think there's a high turnover in recruitment agencies because if you let intelligent, sociable people do repetitive work, they quit, they get bored. So a lot of them don't go in-house, or when they're really successful, they stay. But then most of the times it's because they have a high money drive. So they're really driven by money. So those are the people that stay long in recruitment. Yeah.
Why did you leave? Repetitive. You got bored.
Yeah. And I was asked by my client to work for them and start build up the contracting department there. So basically kind of in-house and build the teams, so I could hire people, sell the service, and basically build the service from scratch for them. Yeah.
And then from recruitment, the skills you learned there, you went to start your own company, but you started in a quite lean way, because did the company start, or it was more in a way that it came along in your journey? The way I've heard your story.
Yeah. It started, I will skip some steps, but I first started freelancing myself. I was a freelance recruiter, and then I just started meetups in the evening. I posted on meetups, it was tips, tricks and fuck-ups for freelancers, and we're just talking, but then it ended up me giving them advice, and they're like, hey, how do you get this hourly rate, And I was like, maybe there's something. And then I first started to do like just coaching, that was really the thing, and then they were like, yeah, but how do I get my first assignment? And I was like, okay, here's something. And then I had an idea. I was thinking about like, hey, what if I do it like this? And I just started telling that to people. And they were like, hey, where can I, read more? Do you have a website? And I was like, okay, fuck, I need a website. So then I just called the web developer and I was like, I need a website within 1 month. And I told the people like, yeah, we're crossing the T's, dotting the I's for the website. So this is going live soon. But come to my office, we'll talk some more, I'll explain. And then,
so you already had an office as a freelancer?
It was in Holland, you have like, when buildings are empty, you can squat them, it's legal, right?
Yeah.
So you have like these anti-squatting rules or apartments or companies, and they put just people in really cheap. You can live there for like a couple €100 a month, and they do it for businesses as well. So I just had an anti-squatting office. I paid, it was the old boardroom of actually the ABN AMRO.
Oh wait, is that in Utrecht?
Yeah.
It's still empty. A friend of mine has his office right there.
Behind the gas station. Yeah.
Like Max, he was the first podcast.
Oh, okay.
We recorded it in the ABN AMRO.
Oh fuck, okay. Yeah.
Just a coincidence.
There. I paid like €300 a month. I had an intern, he helped me, he worked for me. And I was just telling people, I do this, then they came by for a meeting. and like as you go, you start to get more ideas, and you talk to clients, and they ask you, but do I get this? And you're like, fuck, didn't think of it. I need to add this, you know. So because you don't have an actually product, you can build the product still with the client.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and then they're like, okay, I saw the website, which was live. You know, where can I sign? I'm like, okay, I need a contract.
Fuck. I need to have a contract to sign clients.
Yeah. So, and then in the meantime, like thinking out the product. Yeah. So then I called like, so I did it like this to skip some steps to not make it a long story. And then I had the idea for the training program, but I only had the first couple trainings. So for the client, because they couldn't see further than a couple meters, I was like, there the road was paved, but in the meantime I was like, shit, they're coming, you know, building the rest, you know. Yeah, so it felt like an icebreaker or something, and then only after I found out like this is a whole method, you know, lean startup, MVP, and I was like, okay, so it sounds cool when I say it now, but then I was just doing it, you know, but I believe in it thoroughly, like you said it, like the move before you're ready. Yeah. Just go talk and
just
learn a lot.
do the work. Yeah, same like we talked about that today as well.
Yeah.
Same with the podcast. I decided to do a podcast. I bought some mics, €30. Stayed to put my phone in from AliExpress.
Yeah.
And now we just do it. Now we're here.
Yeah.
Having a podcast. And that's how you create. Move before you're ready.
Yeah.
Just do the work, even when it's not perfect. And what mistakes, because you work a lot with people, work a lot with freelancers, they have a lot of obstacles in their head to overcome. So what mistakes do you see most often when it comes to move before you're ready?
When they actually do it, or when they just start by themselves?
When they start by themselves.
Yeah, it depends also from what people, but in general, the mistake that you see is either perfection, but I want to do it perfect, and I'm finally starting for myself. Now I can make it how I want, and I want to do it right. And then you don't do it for 3 years. That's how you want to do it right, because you're too slow.
From the mental masturbation.
Yeah. So it's like doing it perfect, wanting to do it perfectly, and therefore being way too slow. I had another point, but it slipped my mind.
Sure. Well, it will come up.
Yeah.
So move before you're ready. You just went on and go, build when the clients are coming up. But how did you know
the other point that I had? It's wanting to do it perfectly, and the fear. It's so funny. The fear is, but what if I put this product online and I get 50 people who want to buy it? I cannot deliver it. I have to say no to so many people. And it's like, this is a utopia. You know, you're the best businessman ever if that will happen. So if I have a web shop, but I can only, I don't know, they sell, let's say you sell like handmade bracelets or something. Yeah, but then when people buy it, I can only make one a week or something. And then, then just up your lead time, Then you say like, okay,
put them on the waiting list.
You get an order, or you get an order in and just call them. You say like, oh, we have a lot of requests, and then it's fine. And it probably won't happen. And so it's also the same with freelancers. We put a lot of work into client acquisition, talking to clients, get the assignments and stuff, and then they say, but what if I talk with 3 clients and I have to I can only go for one, and I have to turn down the other 2, then they won't like me for it. And I was like, no, just tell them in the beginning that you have multiple processes and that you have to choose one. It's even positive because you up your demand, so it's even...
You become more of an authority because they see you have other clients or other possibilities as well.
Yeah, so it's even more stronger, and we advise you to do it a lot, to have interviews, because it gives you contacts with end clients. You've been there, you've been at the table with them, they know you're a good guy or girl. So thinking in those problems is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and again, like I think having a waiting list is one of the most powerful marketing tools you can have, because people want things they can't have, or people want things that are not that easy to get. And if you have a waiting list, so even if people are delusional in the thing to I start and I will meet, you have 50 clients, then please tell me how you do it. I want that. Reach out to me.
Quit making bracelets and start sales.
but then reach out to me, but else put them on a waiting list.
Yeah, yeah.
They will not go away. Then create your email funnel around it
Yeah.
and keep them a bit warm. And from the moment you have a new product or your delivery can handle it, sell.
Yeah. And you get so much more information, but it's even a method in growth hacking because I did a couple courses like before, like the old, because I'm becoming an old guy, but like in my education, you had to, when you wanted to start a business, this was the old school way, right? You do market research, you make a plan, you make a marketing plan, you do like price, product, what's the marketing, the 4 Ps or shit?
I know.
I was,
so I have no clue.
Okay, I was like traditionally educated in like a private school for marketing and stuff. And this is the old thing, and the actual fun thing. Do you know where the MVP and the lean startup comes from? It comes from IT.
Really?
Yeah, because in IT you had long development cycles. So they built a product, an app or a thing, and it took like a year to develop it. But then the market, the technology changed, etc. And it was called waterfall method. So it has development, testing, live. And every development took like half a year, testing took half a year, and then they went live. And it didn't work anymore. So they had to go through Agile and Scrum. You know those or no?
Raul did a talk about it here in Madeira.
Okay, yeah. So agile development, you work in sprints of like really small iterations. You build something, you go live, and you build on top of it. And this is like literally the lean startup way, but it comes from development. And what you do, instead of being a submarine, you go under and then you develop and then you go up and you say, tada, this is my product. And then you go like this and then you come up here, but then the market says, I want this. You spend half a year to go here. Now you have to adjust for half a year. Yeah. It's like a submarine method. You need to dolphin, you know? You make something, you go a little bit light. It's this, and then the market says, yeah, but... And then it's easy, so you go like... And then it takes you maybe, instead of the straight line, it's never a straight line.
Of course.
It takes you, instead of 6 months straight line, it takes you maybe 7 months, instead of six.
Yeah. No, but it's funny it's funny because I recognize my business partner. He is just the traditional way. You know, he just finishes international business right now, and it's like, oh, we need to do a business canvas. So like, fuck no, not gonna do that. Just this is what we do. This is who we do it for. Now we build. And if we build, we sell. So that's like, and then there's but does that work that way? I'm like, I don't care. We'll see. The experimentation thing. That's like a big thing. I've won. Was another friend. They gave an example in like one of the growth hacking courses. They were like, don't build we just build a landing page. Don't build a product. And then one of the guys was like, why build a landing page? Yeah, we build it in a day or a week. He was like, why not just build only one screen, email sign up. Put like €100 on Facebook for ads, just see how many clicks you get on the ad. And maybe how many, the percentage from clicks through the sign up from the waiting list or the email list or anything. And it's bullshit, it's a different URL, it's just a market test. You don't have to build anything, you just have to build one ad, see what the click price is, see if they click, see what the conversion rate is, and then you already have a metric and you have actually, hey, how does it move the needle? And you didn't build anything. So you have so many little fucking tricks, you know. I think that's like who's the guy again? If one really big business guy who talks a lot about this stuff. I don't know. Does not matter. Okay, so then you start your business. Step by step, but it's interesting because you started by no cure, no pay. How did that came up? Like, that's a big step for most people, but I've heard you say it a bit before that you did before No Cure No Pay, right? Or
I did No Cure No Pay in my recruitment as well, but I also pivoted away from that. I did hourly when I was a recruiter, when I had my own company. Before I did like hourly in freelancing, then I started my own agency. I did like No Cure No Pay, so if you like the 20% thing, and then I already moved away from that because I was like, this is annoying, I want the recurring. So then I changed from, this was still in my recruitment agency, I changed from recurring to clients who just paid 3K a month for me doing all of their HR and recruitment, writing vacancy or job description, etc. And then if I place someone, I get like a small No Cure No Pay. So there I also did No Cure No Pay, and I moved away from No Cure No Pay with the recurring model as well. But then during that time I did that for a year maybe max, and then I was all in on Next Level. Because in the meantime I was building up Next Level Freelancer. And I started with a no cure no pay, or actually with the meetups I did coaching, just hourly rate coaching. But then they asked me the question, yeah, but how's it with the first assignment and stuff? And then I thought, like, the assignment's easy for me. I come from recruitment. I just train them. If it works, I get a percentage of their hourly rate, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. So it's risky, but I knew that I could make them successful.
Yeah.
But therefore, my client screening was really thorough, because if they weren't successful, a lot of effort went in from my side, and there was a chance that I did not get any profit out of it.
Would you recommend it to starters to do the no cure no pay thing, or would you recommend maybe some base and maybe some no cure no pay side? What would you recommend?
Depends on the business model, I would say.
Yeah.
Because it depends on your business model. If you're like in marketing, then what's the cure?
Yeah.
So if you make, like, if you're a video editor for podcast, then what's the
cure?
Yeah. But it can be really valuable if you know the market really well, and you know your product, and you know some stuff. You can do no cure no pay. You could, like, if you're a CRO guy, conversion rate optimization, then you can also work no cure no pay. I think you can just analyze the website properly. You do a discovery afternoon where you analyze all the processes, and then you can say, like, okay, if we don't get 50% raise in your visitors, then I don't get paid. So I think it's a very, very strong.
It is, but you need to be certain that you can get some type of result for them. So if you're skilled enough, because you had all the recruitment experience before that, you had a lot of experience just in the field, in the playing field before you did it. So.
Yeah, as we're talking about it, if you're beginning in business, then I think I wouldn't do it, because your client control isn't that strong.
Yeah.
And I think to do no cure no pay like this, where just, like, for example, CRO, if you do this conversion rate optimization or marketing or anything, or I think any business, you have to know all the process with the clients, because if you do your work perfectly, and they should have the cure or the result, but they have something they do wrong, some of their processes are wrong, or just it takes too long, or you run into other problems, then they might not get the result, and it's not your fault, but it's their fault. Yeah. And to prevent that, you have to really screen the process or the client and the project really well, and communicate it really well, and build in these conditions with your clients and maybe in the contracts for it to work. And I think when you're probably when you're just starting, you will maybe not see them, or don't control your client that well, in which it's high risk.
In the end, people are kind of unpredictable in a way.
Yeah, they are, but it's also your responsibility as a business owner, as a salesman, or delivery, or like if you're doing it by yourself, it's your responsibility to qualify, close the client, etc. Because they don't know, Yeah. Let's say you're going to start edit videos for me, and you say, like, oh, we do this, we do that, and I'm like, okay, I never did it, so I don't know how much time it takes to.
Yeah, you need to educate the client on what's going on.
Yeah. So I will tell you, I want 5 videos a week. Can you do it? Yeah. We agree on the price, blah blah. But then I don't know that it takes 5 hours of every week from me, maybe 10 hours, like 5 hours of prepping my topics, talking points, making the videos. And if you didn't tell me, I didn't know.
Just be honest up front. What can they expect? So it's in sales, like you always do your agenda setting, so they know what to expect in the call. But it's in your business, it's the same. Yeah. If you don't be honest up front what they can expect or how the process will go, it's really hard for them to imagine what they need to go through. But to dive a bit deeper into the payment methods, what are some models that you think are really interesting? Because I've heard you say in another podcast as well that you like to work with bonus structures, you like to work with, I don't know, I know nothing about that, so just curious.
But you mean payment structures, right? Not you mean like
the
proposition, the earning model of the business.
Not
because like if you talk about commissions, that's like salary kind of things. That's a different game, which I love as well. But like in earning models, you have like hourly, one-off, monthly, You have like freemium things that you can build in. You can you have also like
Premium, for the people who don't know, is like you start for free and then you pay, like, so first part is free and then
and you have like a paid freemium as well. It's like you pay a small amount and then you upsell from there. You know, you can also do that. You have this is also a bit from IT, which is nobody does it, or like not many people do it. You have like a stamp ticket, we call it, in a strippenkaart.
stamp ticket, like you buy 10 hours and from the 10 hours you can use for whatever services.
So you buy like a bulk amount of hours up front and you can use them in a year. So you can use all of these and combine them as well. And in general, I would say recurring is better. You know, you want recurring because it's good for your business. You know that you get this amount of money for the upcoming year.
Creates cash flow.
Yeah, creates cash flow. It has a client lock-in. Preferably, it has also not. The lock-in is maybe by contract, but also just by mindset. You know, if the money gets deducted every month, they don't look at it like the gym membership. You know, you don't go, but you know.
Would you recommend to put your client on a contract for X amount of months, or did you say, okay, you can always quit if you want, but you need to say it 1 month up front, so or 2 months up front, so you need to you can adjust yourself to that?
It really also depends on the service, so but I prefer like a lock-in at least for like 6 months and then monthly cancellation. If you won't do it, but it really depends on the service or the product. I would do like a starting fee. So if you do like a monthly cancellation from scratch, from start, then do a setup fee, because you also need to set up, arrange everything. But I think the point we're getting at here, I would in your beginning stage of talking to the client, you can have a fixed product, fixed proposition, but for a lot of entrepreneurs, or especially in the service industry, it is not fixed. You talk with the client and you see what's best for them. So I would be flexible in the propositions that you have, or like have some proposition on your website, for example, but offer some choices. But what I think is really strong, that you, in one of the first talks or one of the talks with the client, you don't sit across from the client like in your imagination, but sit next to the client and spar what he wants. What's the service that he wants? And even you might go back, you know, like, why are you talking to me, an agency or a freelancer, anything? Because have you considered other options? Because maybe I'm not the best option for you. Let me advise you a little bit. What are your other options? And then 9 out of 10 times, if you do that, you are changing the
level,
the power dynamics in the conversation, because they're used to people, buy my shit, I want to get in, buy my shit. If you just start with like, maybe I'm not the right choice, let's look why you need the service like this, and when you choose for this service, when it's the best for you, then I'll convince you why I'm the best. But so spar with your client a little bit and qualify your client really well. What are his needs? You know, like, does he need, in his cost, does he prefer like running costs and then he doesn't have to worry? Does he prefer like a one-time off? Does he prefer speed, quality? What are his drivers? And then you take him, you guide him a little bit in your options, because you have a preferred option, you know?
Like you know where you can steer the conversation to. But for example, when you do an agenda setting, and I will come back to that one because it's a great example. What I always do in the beginning of the call, okay, right now we're going to start by looking at your point A. Where are you right now? What's your current situation? What are your needs? What's not going good? Then we're going to look at your point B. Where do you want to go to? Then we're going to dive into a strategy. What do you need to do to get there? And only if it's the right fit, only if I think we can help you, I can make you an offer. If not, I want this call to be valuable for you, whatsoever, because I'm here to help. And if that's with my product, service are good because I'm the right vehicle for you, fine. If not, I hope we can find the right vehicle for you, because maybe you know someone else I can help, and that way we can do business in another way.
But like in the product, I would like talk to your clients and advise your clients on your product, maybe like try to position yourself as an external advisor on like what product they might need or what service they might need, and then you can also go, because they might be like hung up on features. They will tell you, oh, I want this and I want this and I want this service, and then you can say like, hold up, just know that takes a lot of time for me this way, and probably then it will be quite expensive. So is that okay for you, or do you need like a more smart way? And then probably they were like, oh no, I need this, this, and this. And then you see what their real drivers are, and you can just drop some amounts, you know. Then I will just, with this service, I need to hire someone or blah blah blah. Or then just if you want all this, it takes me like around 6K setup costs, and I think, and then they go like, oh. And then you can like, okay, if we do it smart.
Recruitment and sales is really important to have as a skill.
Yeah,
so if you ever want to start in the sales job or a recruitment job, because that's where you learn this type of stuff.
I always say like, I sometimes have people that are really beginners. I had a friend, he was a plumber.
Yeah.
And he was like, Erik, I see what you're doing, and blah blah. And he's like, how do I get this? And it's first of all, it's so broad. Ask specific questions. But my advice is always learn communication skills and Excel. I think you need to know Excel because you cannot think of you cannot sketch out a proposition or if you don't know Excel. You need to know how to talk and work numbers. And obviously how to talk is how to communicate is how to sell.
Yeah. Sales is just sales or recruitment, however you want to call it. It's just advanced communication.
Yeah.
It's just knowing how to work with people.
Yeah. And like what you said, I value I had like call center jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best experience ever because you call so much, you speak to people so much, and sometimes you hear like one little doubt, or they say one thing, and like, oh, do you like it? Yeah, I think it's good. And they don't say this, you just hear this in their voice.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's a reason why they use these words. It's not 100% yes, and
but
if you don't,
if we can make it to a scale for 1 to 10, where are you right now?
Yeah.
Maybe a 7. So okay, what do we need to get that up to a 9 or an 8?
Yeah.
And then they start selling themselves to you in a way. But you need to know those tricks. You need to recognize when people have that doubt in their voice.
Yeah. Because because if you ask the 1 to 10 question and stuff, that's a trick, you know. But like how they answer and what words they use, or like the doubt and the intonation, that's like a gut feeling, and you. I think it's really hard if you don't have like I love the fact I hated it at the time. Well, I loved and hated it both, the call center stuff. But I'm very grateful that I have it. Yeah.
Same like I did not do it for that long period of time. That I did some cold calling, and I did some with like 200 fucking calls a day. You know, and then you needed to work for that hourly rate, and it's just oh man. At the end of the day, you were burned out, and you want to smack your hand up against the wall. But now I'm so grateful that I had the cold calling experience, because what you'll learn from that, it's insane.
And I like the mode as well. So do you have sometimes, because I don't do my sales now myself, but sometimes still I have to make calls, or my sales girl is on holiday, or I just have to do some shit, and I just go into that mode again. I put my desk on standing mode. I prep like my calling list. I put some music in, and I just go. I love it to be back there again, you know, like and then like bam, bam.
Yeah, but it's fun to go back.
To do it full time.
No fucking way. Yeah. Like I get a lot of people who are like, you can grow up to a closer, and first you do some SDR. Like no, I'm not gonna do SDR work again. Like I'm
SDR. What is it?
SDR, like sales development prep.
Oh, SDR.
SDR. Yeah. But now you have a closer, or you have some girl, you said, doing sales for you. Mm-hmm. How did you build your team? Because you have 3 full-timers right now. Mm-hmm. How did that process go on? Because you did a lot of it remotely, right?
No, the remotely I recently started.
Okay.
It's since last year actually. I first worked with interns. Mm-hmm. It's you have a certain look on your face when you say it. So. Jesus, so many stories. One fell asleep like this, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He woke up like this, and then he had the audacity to say, he was like, oh. And he was like, I know I have problems with my ear, so I was sitting like this for my ear. And I have so many, but also the same guy, he was rapping at work. He was TikToking himself, rapping. I heard like. I do the long, this song, it takes too long. And then I looked across my screen, and he was like rapping in front of the thing. But yeah, interns, it's a hassle, but it can be a good way to scale a little bit in the beginning if you don't have the money yet, you know. But no, I first did interns, and I had a lot of inner friction from hiring my first people, because it feels like a load, you know. Your burn rate goes like, because you know, if you want to pay someone like on a permanent contract 4K a month or something, you know, times 1.5 for like insurances and everything, it's like bam, here's like 5 or 6K that goes out every month. So I felt I had a hard time with that, but then I had
before that you work with freelancers or
a little bit freelancers for like website development and stuff like this, and the interns to help me with some sales and stuff. Then I hired my first sales, but I had a lot of friction. But then I had a business coach, and he was really simple about it. He was like, Erik, it will cost you like 5 or 6K. You need some margins. So he called it a bumper or something. So as soon as you're like, you pay yourself, you have 6K and some leeway for 3K, then you hire it. This amount, you know. So wait, just work your ass off until you get onto this amount of profit, then you hire the sales. It's easy. And I was like, okay, need to do it.
Sometimes it helps when there's someone to make things stupid simple.
Yeah. So yeah, doing it alone is fucking hard and building it. So now I recently got a co-owner. We're now doing all the contracts for a limited company. But yeah, so I have first interns, then sales, and still I have some freelancers in a flexible way. But one of my mistakes, I would say, was that I waited too long to hire advice and coaches and to hire people. I could have scaled faster in the beginning period. I lost some traction there. Yeah. But I was just like, money was coming in. I was like, okay, good. I now need some fat on my bones. We have a saying in Dutch. We need some.
Yeah, that you build some
safety.
Some safety for later.
Yeah.
So if something happens, if shit hit the fan, you have the
and that's
resource.
Yeah, and that's also a bit because of my traditional background. I would say I was too much on that side, and I think like now all the e-com guys and stuff, they know what they're fucking doing. A good friend of mine is doing e-com, and they just reinvest everything. They fully skill, you know. All the money that comes in, they push into new ads, new products, blah blah. But they run a skeleton crew that like they've. Because they're like, no, all the money, put it back in again, because then you can scale, and it works so quick, you can earn so much money. But then one thing goes out of whack, you have a PayPal hold, your Klarna gets blocked, I don't know, some shit happens, and like the PayPal holds, PayPal can say, yeah, we do a hold, we don't pay you out, we keep this 20K for the upcoming month, where you're gonna buy the products, where you're gonna run the new ads, because you don't have any money on your bank account, so there's a middle ground.
Then there's a balance between that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the difference between e-com and the business that you're doing, or coaches, consultants, agencies. For e-com, it's maybe, I don't know, I don't have e-com experience, easier to get an ROI because you know the fixed price. It's easier to build a good landing page and to build a whole sales process. At least that's what I think. I don't know.
Well, you have less overhead, so it's really it should be really clear what your margin is, and so then the scaling is also more easy because you just sell stuff, you know, and it's you have some ads, and it's definitely different if you build a service-heavy business. So you have to be really clear in your focus.
Yeah, it's more concrete, I would say.
With selling products.
Yeah.
Because you just buy a thing for €1 and you sell it for 2, so your margin is €1. You make
it's quite easy actually.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Why are we not e-com? Like, what do we do? Like,
e-com is I wouldn't want to do it.
No,
it's interesting though, but yeah.
I like people.
Yeah, also.
I miss the people aspect in e-com. But it needs to fit your personality, I guess.
Yeah.
And so now you have 3 full-timers, you hired a sales rep. How do you deal with that? Because now you live in Madeira, you bought a house here. how do you manage a team remotely? Because we talked about that as well. You did not figure it out at all. Well, not at all. You set up some structures, not perfectly. But how do you do that?
I first did I wanted it. I knew that I wanted it, and I also knew that like people, like my employees wanted it, and I wanted to be more flexible because you also build a little bit of a cage as soon as because first you start your business, you're I'm free, I don't have to report in anywhere. Then you get employees, and you have to be an example as well. Yeah. So you cannot come in anymore at 10 or 11 o'clock because then they're like, what the fuck is he? You have to lead by example. So that's kind of a cage again as well. So it goes weird that you get like freedom and then cage in again a little bit. So I wanted to have more freedom in location. So I did a couple of test runs basically. I went to Bali for 2 months and I first did like a holiday. I just sticked a week of working remotely on my holiday.
Yeah.
After that, I did like a month here, and then after that I did 2 months Bali, just to see how everything works and to see how my company, how my clients would respond, everything. Mm-hmm. And from there it was like, okay, this has some viability, let's proceed, but then you know which problems you're running into. And also I think like if you have a company with employees, then they get used to it as well, because I just noticed they like it. If you're like, oh, you can work remotely, they're like, oh, awesome. But then if it's like, oh, I'm gonna leave for 2 months. Oh, but what are we gonna do with this then? And how are we gonna? So it's also a bit panic. And if you do like a couple test runs, then they'll like, oh, we'll be safe. It's the same as when you were in Bali last time, you know?
Yeah.
But then also you find out some gaps in your own leadership and management style and your own processes, which I found out. And also, what? I'm not a I'm like on or off. I'm a micromanager when I see things go wrong. When I see that it goes right, I'm really quickly that I'm like, okay, it's fine. Yeah. But then I don't look at it at all. And then it goes out of whack, you know. So that's my challenge. But luckily I have a co-owner now who's very good at this. But so, for example, with my sales, I was like, oh, everything goes. We didn't do a lot of check-ins. Because she knew how to do the job, or that was a guy at that time, it was another guy. He knew how to do the job, and I just let it go. But yeah, he's on his own, in an office or at home, making calls, and you know how sales is.
I do it here all the time.
On your own, to do like sales every day, it's a grind. And you have to keep them energized, you have to check in, celebrate, communicate. So my mistake was leaving it a bit too much, because you're also yourself. You are remotely, so your mind is where also you know what your environment is. Yeah. So you have to check in more with your team, energize them, have like your communication systems more clearly set up, reporting as well more clearly, also for them.
And do you work with end of day reports?
No,
not that micromanagement.
No. We do like a week start, week ending. We did daily stand-ups, like in the morning, but it's just
too much.
I think what works better is very open communication. What I recently discovered, we had like a team chat. It's a hassle because everything is in the team chat. What my most recent discovery is like have a separated team chat. Even if you work with three people, have like a sales channel, operations, finance, because it takes way less mind space to like, oh, what's happening in finance? I'm working on contracts now anyway, and like have the ongoing communication that you normally have in the office, have that somewhere online, and make it a habit of that it's normal to call instead of emailing. But then they're like, yeah, but you're busy. Yeah, just call me, I'll call you back. Yeah. You know, because otherwise people they just only email.
And I think that it's a big difference between text and actually have a talk. Even if it's over the phone, it's different. Yeah. It's the same with my companion right now. We figured out, we had like one chat, that's our private chat, and we talked about finance, we talked about sales systems, we talked about marketing. And now we have like in WhatsApp you can create a community. So now we have like Clarity Crafts community, and then we have like free finance. So there I just because he does the bookkeeping.
Yeah, have like the channels. Yeah, that's so much better for your mind space. Yeah,
it's way easier to organize it. Yeah, and also like I have a lot of sales calls because it's my job
Yeah.
to do sales. And he calls me sometimes during a call. First thing I do when the call's done, okay, I call him back.
Yeah.
You know, so in that way you keep on communicating. It helps a lot.
Yeah, but you really have to, if a company with employees, you really have to push it to make it normal to do that, and like be really easy with when we have a call, we're like, oh, but how should we fix this? In an office, you would say like, Max, you know, what do you think? And just make it like you really have to kind of enforce it with your team that you're like, oh, but let's call him, and then just during the call, add him to the call, see if it works. Oh, it doesn't pick up, well, fine, and then you still have the cohesion of the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Pick up the phone and start calling. Again, recruitment, sales, communication. It's that's how you communicate right now with your team as well.
Yeah, and we visit. I just visit every other month, or like how I do it now. If I'm like on and off, like 3 months here, 3 months at home. When I'm 3 months here in Madeira, I also like. I just came back from 10 days Holland. You know, I'm there. We plan everything. We have more meetings. We book lunches. We go for dinner. We have an office party with clients. So then we have like our quality time. And I do it like back and forth. So you still have some bonding because people want to be with a tribe and have that feeling that they're together. So you have to create that some way. But I'm not an expert on it. I just started.
It came along in multiple podcasts, and I talked about with a lot of friends who work remotely as well. That in a way, people always need the sense of community because we're social animals, and we can do a lot remotely, and that's lovely because you can see cool places, go to cool places. But if you're doing it alone, it's less fun than if you're doing it with people.
Yeah. But I would say how to start as a company owner with employees and stuff. Run tests with everything, with your landing page, with your pricing, with your sales calls, but also working remotely. Run tests, and a lot of times you have like a lot of assumptions in your head about your product viability or like why remote working doesn't work, for example. Because our clients need to see us face to face. Okay, for the upcoming month, book 50% of the clients book remote calls and 50% you do face to face. See what the closing ratio is. And then you have the test. And maybe the closing ratio is less with your remote clients that you book. Okay, maybe because they don't get something which they normally get in the face to face thing, which is maybe trust or something like this. So maybe you need to add a little extra step for the remote clients, or be more, post more content so they have that trust from it, that they see over there. To just run those tests and try to confirm or debunk those assumptions, and then you can work remotely. Because we had a lot of things. I used to do the sales and the coaching, and our assumption was, but they become clients with us because of you, Erik, because they see you as an example. So they won't take the advice from us. Well, bullshit. We did it, eventually we did it, and they accepted the new coaches easily. Same with sales. Yeah, but we need to build trust because it's such a big step. We need them in the office, and that's true. So we need to find an alternative.
And I think that's right now where funnel building is really important, especially with content creation, because numbers have shown. I say it to a lot of my clients all the time. It takes 5 to 10 hours of consumption time before someone really trusts you right now, and to 7 to 8 contact moments before they finally recognize you. So that's like a psychological thing that you need to trigger and need to poke, and that's why I personally think content creation right now is really important. And
5 to 7 hours is a lot, though.
Yeah. So why do you think we have a podcast?
How many hours are you in? 1 hour? You're 4 hours away from buying.
That's why a lot of people, like if you look at the big names, they all have a book. Why? It's another 3 hours. They have a lot of podcasts that they have been a guest on. Why? It's not a couple of hours. They have short form content on multiple platforms 5 times a day. Why? It's again 7 to 8 contact moments. They have an email funnel, and in the email funnel they trigger you to go to a YouTube video where you talk about a concept that you do within your business. Hey, that's another 10 minutes. And in that way you attract someone's attention in a way that they become more trustworthy in you as a brand and you as a company.
Interesting.
It's modern psychology, modern marketing, and and that's why I have clarity craft consulting so good.
And also if you know this, then you know that like if I at least have to have 7 context moments before they buy, I don't need to pitch in the first 4 calls at least.
No, fuck
I don't
no,
need to close
don't.
them. You pitch them, but you don't need to close them.
No,
Yeah.
hell no.
Yeah.
Have the first call,
Yeah.
put them in an email funnel,
Yeah.
and in the funnel you give them some contact, you send them some text messages in between,
Yeah.
and you say, hey, how did you implement the value you got from the first call?
Yeah.
And then you book a call like 1 or 2 weeks later when you kept them warm, because
Yeah.
in that way you stay top of mind. So follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on Instagram, put your content out, set them in your email funnel, and the trust builds over time because you stay top of mind. It's some really fucked up psychology there, but it's how business works.
I don't think it's fucked up psychology. I always compare it, because I train my freelancers on this. I always compare it to, because we also do like outreach and calls and stuff, and they go immediately like, oh hey, where do you get your freelancer assignments from? Oh hey, do you hire freelancers? And you can ask questions like this, but I always make a comparison of like when you go to a birthday. You go to a birthday of a friend, and you have this uncle or something, and you tell them about, yeah, I just bought a house, and then immediately he's like, oh yeah, you bought a house? I'm a construction man. Shall I come by to do your walls? You're like, who the fuck are you? I don't know you.
Yeah.
Get away. You don't want to be the guy who instantly sells you shit. I just met you, you know. But if you change from, you know, if you're not that construction guy, maybe I just bought a house and you're the construction guy, but like we meet and you only talk how cool you think construction is and how cool the houses are and the projects that you did, and maybe I need one. I'll ask myself like, hey, my walls need work, you know, can you come? Or then after, you know, the second time we meet, or you just call me after, hey, we talked about your house, you know, do you need stuff with your wall? Then it's okay, but like pitching too soon, chill the fuck out, man.
Yeah. Or do a pitch, but don't expect them to buy.
Yeah.
But I always say in my calls near the end, like, if you don't buy right now, it's fine, because I only want you to buy if you're 100% confident.
Yeah, sales resistance. Like taking away sales resistance, it's a big thing.
But
yeah.
I think like sales is helping because your product, service, or good is the vehicle to get them to their point B. But you need to do it ethically, so it needs to be the right fit.
Yeah.
And you help them the best when they buy, but everyone needs something different to buy. You have like different personalities and everything.
Yeah.
And if you can play their personality in a way that their client journey fits better to your product in that way, you adjust yourself more to their needs.
Yeah.
Trust is built and it becomes easier to buy.
Have you heard of Crystal?
Crystal?
Crystal is a Chrome plugin. I used it a couple years ago. I don't know if it's good or live again. It's do you know Disk?
Yes.
Disk, the colors, the personality colors. Yeah. What Crystal is like a plugin for Chrome. It analyzes LinkedIn and I think social media and the activity and the words you use, and it places the person that you communicate with in a Disk category. So they analyze like, oh, this person talks this way, so it's probably blue, and then he just literally tells you, so give them these kinds of things, push these buttons in your sales calls or in your communication with them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I did it with my intern at the time and some other people that I know really well and some clients, and they were like, fuck, it's right. It's the right.
Yeah, because it's
creepy.
But it's always about speaking the same language. If I talk to you in Russian right now, it would be weird. But if we talk English, we speak the same language. We set out a structure up front for the podcast, so we talk the same language. We know where we go to,
and I know that we're like diverting it a bit too much.
Yeah, so
I want to give you some
niches. Niches.
Yeah.
You think it's really important to have a niche, and up front we talked about like ways to have a niche, right?
Yeah.
Can you dive a bit deeper into that?
Yeah, I would say you should have a niche because if you have a niche, your communication can be more focused on that clientele, basically on that target group, and until the time that you maximize your market share in that niche, basically, why should you bother? So I would say if you're a web developer or something, you build websites. You can say, yeah, we build websites for all companies. Yeah, it doesn't work because you cannot build a website for ABN AMRO Bank. So okay, I build websites for small companies.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you niche it down more? If you're just starting, I make websites for, I don't know, driving schools or hairdressers in Amsterdam.
really niche down.
You know, and you make 3 websites for hairdressers in Amsterdam, and you go to the next hairdresser and you say like, hey, look, this is what I do. And then probably they'll think like, oh, it's a fucking awesome hairdressing website. They'll probably think like, I want one as well.
Yeah.
And maybe hairdressers in Amsterdam is a bit too specific, but you do like hairdressers, and then it will be really easy for them to buy. Than that I have a website for an e-com guy and I don't know what other businesses, and then I go and they're like, yeah, I don't know if this works for me. So, and then if you maximize that, then you can like pivot to hairdressers and driving schools, I don't know.
Yeah, but then again, you speak the same language.
Yeah, and you know what, for example, hairdressers think is important. You know, they like styling. You speak the same language, and then you can tailor your product and all the communication to them. So personas is a big thing.
Yeah.
Just sketch I call it like an Ubermensch of your ideal client. Literally, we teach it as well to our freelancers. Give him literally a name. Look up a picture. What does he do in his spare time? Does he have children? How old is he? You know, all of the things. Just look up personas, and then you'll get there. And then write all of your content with that persona in mind.
Yeah.
And then you get like clients we had as well. They say like, yeah, I read your website. It was creepy. It's literally me. And we had like multiple clients, and it was like, yeah, that's not a coincidence. So then your customer or the person you talk to really resonates with your product, and then they buy more. And then when you maximize that, then you bottom the niche.
And you had like, I thought that was really interesting that you said it up front before we hit the record button.
Yeah.
You said you have a niche in multiple ways. You have a niche in...
Yeah. So people think of a niche as a market category. So like, for example, either a niche that, I focus on the finance sector. But you can also have a niche in your product. So we're recording a podcast. You can do like, I'm a podcast editor, I make the intros, I record it, I do this, but you can also have a niche on your job role, on your service basically. No, I just edit them. You know, that's it, that's my niche.
That's all I
know. You need, and you can have them. I have a recording guy, I have this, I have a marketing guy, but I just do, because I'm specialized in that. That's also a way of niche. So you can niche your market specialization, you can niche your the work that you do, but I would, specialization, there's a reason why it's specialization. You cannot be good at everything. Mm-hmm. So a niche is for me another word in like that you specialize in something, and you can like put it on a lot of different things, and you can even do it on what we said as well. You can do it on the customer profile. So you can say like, I do all kinds of businesses in all kinds of categories, but I'm my ideal customer, like my ICP or ideal customer profile, I think, is businesses that are scaling from from hiring employees.
Yeah.
Because it can be because of your product market fit, but it can also be because that's where the money is. You know.
Yeah.
You don't want the starting because they don't have any money. So yeah, you can also. It's basically like a life cycle stage for your customer or something like this that you niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think we're gonna skip some topics here. So then you niche down, you understand your client, you talk the same language, you know what to sell,
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
easier,
to do.
yeah.
Now you know how to build a remote team. We also covered that. You know
Okay.
you know how to create your offer in a way with your pricing points.
Yeah.
We talked about that. But then you want to start a digital nomad life.
Yeah.
What up? Like that's how do you start as a freelancer or as a business owner? Because you said specifically that those topics are two different entry points.
Yeah. As a business owner, I would say run the tests.
Yeah.
And you can do it because you're the business owner. Take your team with it. Also run some tests with your team, that your team goes remotely, so they know the challenges, and then you can, when they run into some obstacles as well, like working and focus and stuff, and you don't have to be like, oh, it has to be this, it has to be this. You can say like, hey, last time you ran into this, right? So we need to do this. We had a month, we hardly had any contact, and your sales went bad, right? Yeah, it was fucked. Okay, yeah, that's why we need now not weekly calls, but like by like every other day.
Yeah.
So that it's easier to take your team with it. but I would say run the test for yourself and the team, and then you know what you like. Do you like a month on, month off, half year? What kind of co-working you like? So test everything.
It also really depends on the person.
Yeah.
For example, I hate working in cafes and that kind of. I think it's. Yeah. But a co-working, we are in the co-working right now. I love it.
Yeah. I need both. I need both. For example, I need a place in my apartment when I have quiet and can focus, and I need a co-working on the side. But I'm really specific on my setup for work and building and my mics and my screen. I just need comfort so I can be fucking efficient.
Yeah.
So a cafe, no. But yeah, run those tests as a business, give the qualities for your team as well, and I think there are a lot of benefits. It has a lot of challenges. It only works if you fully embrace it and actually do it and focus on it. It has some challenges, but it has a lot of benefits, because if you offer the opportunity to your employees to work remotely, you hire people more easily. But then again, there are a lot of people who want to benefit from it, because we all know the nomads.
Yeah.
I know a lot of nomads who are like, yeah, my boss thinks I'm working 40 hours a week, but they're in lunches every time and they shut the laptop at 4 hours. And if you're, as a company, if your measurement points are really good, and it's result driven, and you can see that they deliver the results, you shouldn't care that they work only 5 hours a day because they're delivering the results,
Yeah.
But you should see, and you should be able to measure it if they are slacking.
I think working with targets is really important by them. Like same as a freelancer, you work on hourly, you can work on an hourly rate, or you can work in projects. But if you adapt that project part into your business as well, like okay, you get paid this, I don't care how many hours you spend on it, I just want it to be done by then. And you get paid this. That's it, that's your job. You do this, then it's done. This is my delivery to you, and it's good. I think if you build a business in that way or structure it in that way, it maybe is a bit easier.
It's good. It's good for you, and it's also people like progress. And in general, I would say people aren't inherently bad. Everybody wants to do a good job. They want to feel competent. They want to feel part of a team. There are some freeloaders, who just want to work as less as possible. You have some stories of like developers who take 3 jobs, they just see how long it runs and then they do the trick again. So there are some, but in general people like to be competent and they like progress. So even like KPIs and targets and stuff like this, they are a bit the bad guy in the working world. But my experience is that if people don't know if they're doing a good job, how they're progressing, it's hard. And if you just need to if you're an appointment setter or like in sales and you just know I need to do this, this and this, and then I'm doing a good job, it's like, oh, I'm on track. It's like running a marathon. Oh, I want to run it within, what's the time, 4 hours, 3 hours?
I don't know.
Okay, so I hit 10 at an hour and a half. So then you're running and you're like, hour and a half, and I hit 10 kilometers. Okay, I'm doing good.
Nice.
So people love progress. So I think it's also
and be lavish in your praise. Like if people do a great job. For example, I know the last 2 videos I uploaded, I really think my editor nailed it. He did a really good job, and I say it to him, and he will listen to this as well. So, doing a good job, doing good. But then say it as well.
Yeah. So as a company owner, it's a different game. As a freelancer, it's a different game than a company. So as a freelancer, the main thing obviously is getting clients in general, and I think as a freelancer, you first need to have your acquisition game and your network on point, and then you can start to do it remotely. Because of different reasons, remote jobs are way harder to get than fully when you're on location. And it also depends on the market. But like in general, if you switch, like for example, if you're Dutch or German or anything, if a company is open to English speakers, it's way easier for them to hire people. So they hire freelancers less because everybody wants to work for them, because people from Romania or like the poorer countries or something, they really want to get into like the Dutch market, so it's harder to get English speaking clients. So a lot of freelancers, they work remotely, but for native companies. So if they're from Poland, they might be here working remotely, but 9 out of 10 times they work remotely for a Polish company, because that's where you're worth more because you speak the language.
Yeah.
And you can work at companies that don't hire remotely or that don't hire English speakers. But the companies have to be open for remote workers, and that's by definition a smaller portion of the
and
the
I
market.
think in Germany you see some great progress in that. In German companies, it becomes more and more often to work remotely. At least that's what I see, because during travels I see more Germans. And in the Netherlands, I think it's really narrow, the companies that allow you to work remotely.
Yeah, there are less and less. Well, a lot of them, especially in IT, they do it. Or I think 90% of the companies in Holland work hybrid.
Yeah.
So it's now, since COVID, it's really normal that you work like 2 or 3 days a week from home, but the rest they want people in the office.
Yeah.
So if you already have some clients, you should run some tests with them.
Again, back to the testing.
Yeah. But I would, what I always, first you have to have the, and this is all what we teach within our program, but how to get a lot of clients, how to get in with end clients, because then if you get in with an end client instead of by an agency, you can influence them.
Yeah.
With an agency, they just make it like how it is, and if the company, like for example, if Facebook wants to hire someone, they just ask Facebook, okay, can you work remotely? No, okay, I'll find you the on-site one. And maybe they are a little bit open if it's the right candidate, but if then the agency calls you, you say, can I work remotely? No. And then they reject you. And if you are directly in contact with Facebook, you can pitch them and you can tell them why it's more beneficial to them, and then you can get them in remotely. But if you're already within, so I would say like get the clients, make sure you get in, then you can influence them, or you can like have, or like what I had, there was like a high demand towards my profile when I was freelancing. They just wanted me. They just like clients were stalking me, and I was like, I'm not available. They were saying like, how many hours do you have? Because we want to work with you.
Yeah.
And then you can set your terms, then you can say, okay, I can work like this, but I want to work remotely. Yeah, so then you can set some standards. And if you are, what I also do, like find a hybrid client, do like 2 weeks of holiday and add 2 weeks of remote working. 9 out of 10 times I think it's okay. And then that 2 weeks you just work your ass off. You just deliver way more. Be very communicative. Make sure that you're there, that you're really present. Fuck, that guy works way more when he's remote. And then if you ask it again, like, hey, I want 2 months, they're like, yeah, go.
You set an anchor point.
Yeah. So those are the two things basically, but also run some tests for your setup, because you don't know what you think is comfortable, because you have your way of living.
In the end, and I think that's in business, but it's in life in general, I guess, it's trial and error.
Yeah.
Just do stuff. Things go wrong, fine, do other stuff. Learn, get better.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and then from now building your company, from working remotely, you choose to settle down. Why did you choose to settle down after you worked remotely, lived part of digital nomad life? Why did you choose to settle down, and specifically in Madeira?
I don't know if I would call it settling down. It really doesn't feel like settling down.
You bought a house. It's quite like.
I bought a house also with the idea. I just wanted to buy it, and I was late on the buying train in Holland because of some. Well, first within the family there was some turmoil. Then we had COVID. My business numbers were down, so my advisor said like, wait until they go up again. You get a bigger mortgage, and then the market. The house pricing market in Holland was like at the peak, so my financial advisor said wait because it will drop again. And then I was done. I was like, fuck it, I want to buy something, I'll look remote. And I traveled around a little bit and I saw Madeira. I love mountains, I do paragliding, a lot of hiking, I do climbing. Here I discovered motocross in the mountains, which is really, really awesome. So that's why I like Madeira in the first place, but I think the reason why Madeira really stuck with me is like we talked about as well, the community here is pretty close. It's also weird because
it's kind of a cult.
Jesus, yeah.
It's kind of a cult.
Like everybody knows everyone,
Yeah,
like,
I also recorded a podcast with Ellie, I think, Ponchatal.
No.
It's like, and she's also like, no, I like the community. When I talked to Rodrigo, first podcast I recorded, like everyone is about the community here. That's crazy.
Yeah, but the community, it's really nice because it's like going up, so everybody helps each other a lot, so that's the really nice thing. And like Robin was also in your podcast.
No, I'm gonna record one with Robin.
Okay, yeah, like, so the interesting story, when I decided first, I was like, maybe I want to buy a house in Madeira. Then I got my tax number, everything, and only then I got like contact with mortgage advisors, and then, or like real estate agents, and then I booked some visits, and then I visited. And then I was like, okay, I like the island, let's go ahead. But then that week, Robin actually, maybe some synchronicity shit, I don't know. But like I went to a co-working, there I met Robin and some of the people of that crew, which is now like a cool friend group. Then like a Wednesday after, I was at a founders dinner, which was apparently hard to get into or something. And then I was like sitting there like waiting for the people to come in, and like he walked in and was like, what the fuck are you doing here? And they were like, damn. And then like another time I went to a bachata class, I do like salsa dancing and stuff. And I came to that was the second time, the bachata class. I went to the bachata class and I was like, hey, you're here again? And then the founders dinner, it was like, again, like 1 week we saw each other 3 times. Yeah. And we had a really good connection. So for me, it was the combination of like the mountains. It's same time zone approximately. Yeah. Infrastructure, everything's really good. House prices are good.
Just don't get a bus here.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So it's pretty comfortable, and it's a cool community. I found a good friend group, so I was like, yeah, let's go.
Okay. And do you have some tips, tricks, or what advice would you give to someone who wants to build a company remotely right now?
I would say, yeah, like wants to start, or wants to visit?
just a starter, just
start remotely. They don't have a company yet.
They see Digital Nomad life everywhere. They say it's cool and I want this. What would you say to them? Like, I want to start a business and I want to do everything remotely. I want to live free before I build my own cage.
Yeah. What we said, just start. I would say it's really easy, and especially when you start, it's more easy to do remotely. Just start and make sure that it's a too wide question, I would say. But it's hard
just
to
do stuff.
Yeah, just do it, and I would say also think in the long run. And I would say like be really maybe that's my main thing. Be really in touch with your clients. It's easier when you work remotely to put your head in the sand or let things slip a little bit. Because also your focus is on a cool new country, stuff like this. So really be in touch, check in with your clients, with your suppliers, everyone a lot. Even when it's not necessary, call your clients, say like, hey, we had this week, send reports, how it's going, send status updates, I did this and this. Maybe book in a call, like an evaluation call, and just ask them for feedback. Hey, what can I do better? No, you're doing a good job. Yeah, fine. I want to know what I can do better. So you keep the touch, and you develop. Yeah, I think that's my advice. Make sure that you develop a spidey sense for when things are going well or not, because that does not come natural, because you're used to seeing people, visiting people, and you take that factor out of it. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it for now. So I want to thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
It was cool. And I think next time I go to Madeira, I will probably see you again. So it's fine.
Probably.
It's a small island.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Thanks.
Ciao.